now it's blinking.
No, it's red.
Yeah, it's steady.
Which is the way I'm used to seeing it. This is
Yeah, it's usually red.
same place.
Yeah.
And it's connected. So if you ask them at home if they're getting them out. Also, Brian, could you stand back over there? That's good right there.
Yeah, it's,
Yes.
yeah, it's basically looking at
Oh,
the signs.
Good, go.
okay. Did you get any complaints before when we had the other sign up? Because,
The old sign?
yeah, I just kind of find it funny that people are calling and complaining about the happy holidays when there were LED lights in that old sign for a whole month that blinked constantly.
We all expected that to be a temporary thing that was going to go away.
Okay, but you didn't get any complaints about that?
No.
Okay, I just find it funny that, that was obnoxious
Yeah.
and nobody complained this thing.
Well, I think because they all knew it was temporary. It was going away.
Okay.
Any other comments about the sign? Yeah, Lee?
I just have one question. First, I want to say thank you very much for making a smaller sign and agreeing to making it lower. Appreciate that. I just have one question. If you don't have anything that's fire department related, will the sign be blank?
Yeah, there are lots of signs that we don't have anything.
Yeah, that was the agreement.
Yeah. No, I mean the old
I
sign.
didn't see it in the
didn't
list
have-
of things.
Yeah, no,
I'm sorry?
they're
It wasn't in the list of compromise.
Yeah, okay. It was.
yeah. If there's not a specific thing we need to use it for, it won't be on. It's not.
Yeah, they don't have it on for when they have something to announce.
No, it's not something we use it on a daily basis. I mean, the holiday thing we would usually leave up for a couple weeks and on the old sign, I mean, and then take it down and, it might be a few weeks before we put something else up.
I did have other questions,
Sure.
but I don't know if this is the place to ask it. Is it who's going to monitor the sign from the village, and if there's something that doesn't seem appropriate, is there any means to enforce that, or do you just have a conversation, or
Yeah,
does
the
it
means
become
is.
something at a board meeting?
Yeah, the board, if the board has any issues, I'll contact Ted or Matt. It's those two guys are the ones who actually control the message that goes on.
So it's kind of a dialogue, between
Yeah.
whoever's the mayor.
It's an agreement that, and we've got a good rapport with each other, so. I mean, I called him today about it today. Matt's available too if I need him.
I was still having my coffee when you called me today.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
At the risk of repeating myself, we're part of the community too. I mean, we don't want to be a detriment to it, but certainly it's not. That's not why we're here.
Well, I appreciate that. I just wish we got off on the right foot, and I appreciate you offering to lower the sign of the hall.
Yeah, as soon as the weather's a little warmer, we'll look at that and see.
Okay.
how hard it is.
Any other questions or comments? Skip you? Oh, okay. All right, thanks. All right, Jared's home sick. So a couple things here. First off, he did have a full schedule last month. 3 round problems getting the schedule filled. And you can see the number of incidents grew dramatically. They do over 100 incidents versus like 65, I think, last month. All right. And the mix is pretty uniform. There was an increase of traffic tickets and parking tickets. All right. I got to tell you, the town has complained to me that the town court is operating at a loss, and they've asked us to help them fix their traffic court. Now, what I said is that I'll work with you to fix whatever the problem is that your business model, but I'm not interested in the village financially helping you fix it. So those discussions are still going on. Deputy Mayor and I have met with Bob Audia. We'll probably be meeting again with Bob as well as with Mike Murphy to figure out what to do there. And I actually attended the vehicle and traffic court last night. They meet once a month. And I saw what actually goes on. And I think I know what the problem is. The problem is they plea bargain everything down to like parking tickets and end up about 95% of the money that they collect goes to the state. And so there, I think, is the source of the issue they've got. And I'm going to bring it up with Bob next time we meet. But just to let you know that discussion is going on with the town. And in my mind, there's three things we can do. We can fix their business model, we can get the town to consolidate with another town, or we can restart what was 10 years ago, the village court. And so those are three things on my mind to discuss. Because when I look at the data back 12 years ago, it looked to me like for the village, it was a money-making operation. And so, okay, it was break even to money-making, all right? And if that's the case, then maybe we need to look at redoing that again.
You gotta get the state police to bring the people this way.
Well,
Instead of
actually,
Mount Pleasant Valley.
part of it is because of all the plea bargaining, the state police are
We don't get enough
disincentivized.
action.
Yeah. The idea is that if everything is plea bargained down, there's no motivation for them to write it.
That's a problem.
Right. And so that's part of the issue that we gotta address. And either the town addresses it and helps us all out, or we gotta figure out how to do it ourselves. All right. However, other bad news I can tell you is that we had a full schedule last month. However, Officer Bill Ritchie has resigned. Bill Ritchie was a recent hire, specifically because he could cover daytimes when Jared is out sick or on vacation, whatever. Bill Ritchie did a nighttime shift every so often, like 3 to 4 days a week. He was available for daytime coverage. He got a significant boost in his available salary and decided then based on that he's going to go work full-time there. So therefore, I need to make a motion to accept the resignation of Bill Ritchie from the Millbrook Police Department. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, we just hired Officer Brooks Lyman's as the 8th officer. Now we're back down to 7, and I told Jared that we need to go find, again, someone who fills the caliber what Bill Ritchie was offering us, which was daytime coverage availability. Most of the officers we have already have daytime jobs, and so they fill us nighttime. We've got Jared for full-time during the week. We're looking for someone that can do that as a backfill. What Jared has suggested, and we'll bring it up at the reorg meeting, is that we expand the available employment for part-time employees to be beyond the county of Dutchess. Okay. A few years ago, there used to be a restriction that to work for the village, you had to be a village employee. We expanded that to be able to get to be a Dutchess County employee. Now, what he's suggested, based on his awareness of who's available out there, is we expand the pool for part-time employees only. So we'll discuss that at the reorg meeting. All right. Any questions or comments about that?
Would that be just for police or any village?
No, we're going to say just part-time. We can just say police. We can restrict it as we want.
I think you want to look at where you're having trouble
Right.
recruiting. not
And we're
just
definitely having
appointing.
trouble there with the
Change
police.
of residency.
Yeah. So just FYI, we'll discuss at the reorg meeting. We can make that specification. All right.
One question on police.
Yes.
Mayor, I don't know if you know the answer. The second laptop that was not installed at one point in the car, in the other car, you know if that's been rectified?
No, those brackets have not been installed yet. No. They've identified he's identified the company. It's in Rochester. He just needs to find a time when he can get himself and another officer to drive both cars up there for the day to install those brackets for both cars.
Every police car in Dutchess County has to go to Rochester to get this done?
No, this is where we had a local guy in Poughkeepsie, which was like 50% more cost. It was like 11,000 versus 7,000. So yeah, that's what he's doing, and that hasn't happened yet. I'll follow up with him and ask what that time is for. Any other questions? Okay. Here's an example of a report. This is in your package. This is the latest from the speed sign on Park Village Road. What we're doing now is we're just randomly moving the speed sign around. I think the next spot he's going to put it is on the other side of Franklin Avenue's hill, the top of the hill, coming into the village. What you can see there is that here the speed limit there is, what was it, 30? In Harts Village, I think it is.
Yeah.
And so you can see out of 2,200 passes, this is for cars coming into the village. 16 of them were running over 40 miles an hour. I guess 17 counting the one that was over 50 miles an hour. One was over 50 miles an hour, and 16 were over 40 miles an hour. So basically it's showing relatively low levels of violations. And you can see compliance data on the right-hand side of those bar charts. All right.
I think it is relatively low in the scheme of things. It's also, 17 potential tickets in a 6-day period on one village street.
Right.
So, and I've seen some of the other areas as well. Officer Witt has given me 9 partners, Franklin Avenue, and Main Church, I think. Similar, if not higher, between medium and high risk violations. So.
Yeah, 9 partners was a good one because it's going downhill there.
I think with the facts that we have on this, with getting the second laptop installed, I think there's potential to potential village court. Whatever happens there. There's certainly enough simple speeding violations in this village
to catch them. You've got to catch them, right? What's interesting to me is the data once again shows that it's not late at night or early in the morning. It's kind of like the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Which is something we should be able to catch.
It's the busiest time in the village too. So
That's true. It's busiest. That's right.
It's the busiest.
Yeah.
30 miles an hour on Harts Village, it's pretty fast.
That's loud. You're right.
Maybe you got to lower the limit.
Yeah.
30 in a lot of the area. The
Basically,
village is fast.
They come down Harts Village from
Over that around that bend. Oh, you're right.
And they're flying with cars.
Yeah, going downhill.
So you might want to think about that, and then you have more potential for getting speeder. Also,
Yeah. We should look at that.
You're
maybe 25
limited
or something like that.
by vehicle and traffic law, so the minimum or the lowest speed limit can be in New York State is 30 miles per hour.
On state roads, right?
Any roads. So you can't, in the village, under certain circumstances, you can lower it to 25 if there's a reason to do it. You can lower it to 15 if it's a school zone. But it's got to be a school zone, and there are, requirements for that. It's got to be within a certain distance of a school. But you can't just lower it to. Under no circumstances can you lower it below 15. And when you're not in a school zone, again, it's 25. I have to look at the statute, but the statute says certain, I don't know if it's a safety concern, there's got to be a reason for doing it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So to lower it below, because we had a brouhaha with the DOT about Franklin Avenue. We wanted to lower Franklin Avenue speed limit from 30 to 25, and they said, no way, state road, not going to happen.
Yeah.
I always thought that village roads, we could do as we wished.
I could look at it again. I looked into this for Village of Pauling at one time, and that's what I found. Yeah.
Can you go to 25?
You can go to 25
It might be more appropriate over there.
in certain circumstances. Like, it's in the statute what allows you to go down to.
So on Church Street coming into the village, we'd certainly lower that to 25, right? Which is a good, because that's downhill, right? So I guess that's because it's a school zone.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you're referring to. It's near the high school.
By the high school, yeah.
Again, I have to look at the statute because there are requirements for that. It's within a certain distance of the school. You can lower, if it's in the school zone, you can lower it to 15.
Yeah, right.
But if it's not in a school zone, you can, the lowest you can go generally is 30, 25 for in certain circumstances.
Yeah. So, Vicki and Buffy, you just went through the vehicle and traffic chapter.
Yeah.
And actually, I included a copy of the draft in your packages. I haven't given it to Ian yet, but I was going to talk about it. Let's talk about it right now. Did you all look at reducing speed limits in on village roads? I know you put in the 15 miles an hour for the schools, I saw that.
Yeah, we sort of talked about possibly lowering the speed limit through the village to 25, just in general.
That's not reflected in the draft.
Right.
We did discuss it.
We did discuss it, we did put it in the draft, but we definitely all discussed. That is a possibility, and then we recommended lowering all the speed limits in the school zones to 15.
Yeah, so here's the story with that vehicle and traffic update that you've put together. So we have a draft now that the trustees are looking at for the first time. I wanted them to spend a month looking at that, get it to you later on if we get any updates there. And we can then start the first process next month, January, of making a resolution to the board, I'll put it on the floor for a public hearing the following month.
Okay.
All right. So it's a draft right now. Two things in my mind I wanted to just comment. One of them is Jared had recommended that we propose alternate side of the street parking, which is something when both of you mentioned it to me, I said, what are you talking about for Alden?
For Alden.
And so what he suggested we put in there, and that's actually in the draft now, that on odd days, one side of the street, on even days, other side of the street, just so there's now more of a lane available for two buses to go on Alden. All right? So that's in there for the board to consider and discuss. And for the public then, I'm anxious to see what the public says. He says people who live on Alden would actually appreciate this. As opposed to having to move their cars. I think right now it's like no parking certain hours of the day.
Right.
So you park on the road, you gotta get it off twice a day. And he said this will make it easier for them. They can park on one side of the street one day and then the other side of the street the next day.
We used to have that years ago.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. The other thing is, there's things in here that aren't actually on the road yet. So for example, Jared wants a stop sign at the top of Washington Avenue as you go into church. And I said, it's now a yield. And I said, next year when we pave Washington Avenue, I want to make it so it's a tighter road. It doesn't have a big sweeping arc on it, so people aren't going to swerve around one way to get the other. And we change it from a yield to a stop sign. Now, the proposal was to show a stop sign now, and then let that sit there until we actually repave it next year. All right, so those things are in there. So I'd like you all to look at that. And he's going to come back with a list of other things he's got on there as well. I think he wanted to put a stop sign at Russell Knowles, coming into Front Street, which is not there today. So there's a variety of things there that we need to agree on, and once we pass the law, then we go and actually make those changes physically throughout the village. So just for your edification, to take a look at it and give us some feedback. But good job what you guys have done so far to get this where it is now.
Tim, just off the subject of police just for a second. I know this past year, with Richard time, we were talking about possibly paving reservoir, and due to the cost and the high energy costs and everything, we had to jettison that idea. If we're talking about going to Washington next year, is reservoir also?
No, we're going to do Washington and Reservoir.
Both?
Yeah, it's going to be a package deal, yes.
All right, just wanted to check.
Yeah, good point.
Tim, just one thing, just getting back to what I said before. We did have alternate side of the street parking in Alden Place. It was prior to them having the new entrance. At one time, many years ago, it was only one way up to the schools.
All right.
And then they used to practice one side and the other side, which worked very well.
Okay.
But when they put the new entrance in, they figured they didn't need it anymore, and they stopped.
There's still a lot of buses that go up and down there.
Yeah, there's still
Right.
a lot.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was there before.
Yeah, it worked well years ago.
Oh, okay, fine. So maybe there won't be as much pushback as I was
Right.
fearing. Okay, fine.
As long as the same people live in there.
That's not true. All right, any questions with, we'll move on. Okay, Bob's not here. And he just wants to remind everyone that the snow ordinance began December 1st. I've already gotten calls from people wanting to know, are there exceptions to the rule? The answer is no. We really can't have exceptions that the car's got to be off the street from, is it 1 a.m. to 6 a.m.? Yeah, okay.
Is that even like any kind of weather, like just period, like if it's
Yeah,
less?
period.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody complained, they said, well, I'll watch the snow forecast, and if it's gonna snow, I'll take my car off. I says, no, because if there's a heavy dew and there's black ice, he's gotta be out salting. And I'm sure when this salt truck sprays your car, you'll give me another phone call. I can't stand that, so
Okay.
we can't really have any exceptions to it. All right? Any questions about Bob's report? All right, let's move on. Okay, Scott.
All right, we'll start with the water. For November, we produced 4,358,720 gallons of water. Average daily flow is 145,290 gallons. Did all monthly sampling and maintenance. I met with a census rep to discuss upgrading our meter system to a radio read, and hopefully I'll have some numbers before budget time. Kinsley replaced the block here on the generator and located the curb box at 49 Harts Village Road. It wouldn't turn. I have here that we need to dig and replace it. We've actually fixed it last week, so that's all.
Oh, good. How much is the radio read of the meters?
It's going to be pricey, yeah.
Huh?
It's going to be probably well over 100,000 for the whole system, so just something I'm looking into. I'll get some numbers. Doesn't have to be done right away.
Okay,
So.
100,000? Wow. Right now you have to go up physically and attach it to each. Yeah, okay. All right. Questions about the water report? All right, on the sewer.
All right. In November, we had total F1 flow of 5,416,211 gallons. Average daily flow is 180,540 gallons. Precipitation was 4 inches. Performed all maintenance and sampling for the month. Oil hauled sludge dumpster twice. I did have our flow meter service company come out to check the flow meter, which I mentioned previously was inaccurate. It's still not accurate. Now it's reading over. Before it was reading low. So we're going to replace it. I've been in contact with Delaware about that. To try to pick one that will be suitable for whatever upgrade comes down the road, so we don't have to replace it again.
Okay.
This one here, I believe, dates back to the 80s or 90s, so we're looking at 30 some odd years. So it's time to replace it.
Okay. How much?
Depends on what they
What they recommend?
Yeah,
Okay, roughly.
probably $5,000 or $6,000.
Okay.
That doesn't include the install.
All right.
So I'll probably have that in the budget, and hopefully I can get an answer from Delaware before, so we can get that done sometime in the spring maybe.
Okay, good.
So,
The way you're running now, I mean, can you shoot for doing it this year, this budget session?
if I can get an answer from the engineers, certainly.
All right, fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have it done this budget. I believe there's probably money in there.
I think there is, based on what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'd like to see you do it this budget.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
I will keep pushing them
Thanks.
for an answer. So.
All right.
Clean both clarifiers, and we also clean the sludge beds.
Okay, questions for Scott? Let's talk about the Bennett pump station.
Yes. I'm assuming we're going to go ahead with that and get that started.
Mhm.
So I don't know what else. I mean, it's in Delaware's hands at this, but I got to come up with a design.
How does that process work? Do you initiate the request to Delaware? I mean, we've got the money
Yeah.
with the bond that we had approved, it's sitting in the bank. So how does the process get started?
That's up to you. I mean, you guys got to initiate that. It's not.
How do we initiate it? I called,
Tell him. As far I thought he was already starting.
that's what
We
I
had
thought so
this
too.
discussion months ago, and
Yeah.
nothing's happened. I've asked them,
All right,
and then it was, well, we're working on the upgrade. We'll get to that. So,
all right. So I gotta
we've already
call
we've already
Delaware.
decided, what what we need to do, generator, you know, the longer we wait, the longer it takes to get it, because
Right,
it's
because
gonna
they're all
be a year
backwards. Yeah.
to get a generator, and that was, what, this summer we had that meeting? So,
All right, so I'll call Delaware. Any concerns or questions from the board about this? This is the idea. We want to replace that pump station and install a generator. We also want to, I think there's like right now there's 2 stations there.
there's,
No one?
there's a original one from '69.
So we're going to close that up.
Yep, and then the current one, which was put in '86.
Yeah.
We need to get rid of the original one because it's an eyesore,
Mhm.
and it's just sitting there. And the one that we have now, the idea is to basically pull it out and put a new one in place.
Right.
So,
But raise it.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like they said, when we had all these discussions, they had all these things laid out, and there hasn't been a plan that has to go out to bid.
Well, here's what happened. We went with the $7 million request to the state, right? And we
Right.
got rejected. And so what I said is, all right, fine, let's reapply, but I can't wait for, another year or whatever for the state to say yes or no while this thing is sitting there. So I want to go and get this thing going. And what Delaware told me is, okay, as long as you haven't fully installed it yet, if we in the future did get approved, then we can conclude that under them. So I'm going to get the process going, especially with the long lead order times, especially for the
Yeah,
generator.
we've got to wait a year,
Right,
at least to be ordered.
right.
It's on order, and you got to, and maybe, I doubt it, but maybe it'll be less than a year, but I highly doubt that.
Yeah, I don't know. So is the board okay with me doing this? I want to make sure we're all together on this.
I think it's an excellent idea, because the longer we wait, the worse we've got to deal with any supply chain issues,
Right.
first of all, and secondly, the idea that when we got the report that I read, they had broken down much of what has to be done to sewer treatment into almost 10 separate project
Right.
categories. And the idea of waiting for a year, 2 years, however long to get a WIA grant, whatever they want to go after, and do none of it is waiting for an emergency. I think we have to start, because at this point, even if we, according to what they said, we'd only get a 25% grant. So
Yeah.
we're still looking at being able to fund 75% of this.
Sure.
We might as well, if we have a way of vehicles doing it in a reasonable manner, let's start with improvements, and then we can hopefully fold in what we can, but not wait for the state.
Yeah, I mean, we started off trying to go through FEMA. Then we're going to go through this WIA grant, which was a 25% plus a 0% 30-year loan. And now we're kind of back to square one. So until then, I think we need to go forward.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought going back several months, especially to budget time, we did the bond for the wall, and I thought that the pump station was all included, whatever that was. So
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know how we got to this grant thing. So that's why, it's kind of just stalled.
Well, the idea, we got the grant. The money is sitting there.
Right.
$250,000 for this is sitting there in the sewer fund revenue.
Right.
And so that's there. We thought we could wait until we got word on the grant and kind of pull it together. All right, so that failed. So now we're kind of back to let's go and get it with the grant, with the bond money we already got. So we'll do it.
Yeah, just a side, you got the money, you gotta initiate the process with Delaware, okay, to get it going. You have backlog, getting equipment, the generator, like you said. Is there any way you can pull, Delaware should be able to give you the specs on that generator in 2 seconds. Why can't you go buy it, so you don't have to wait?
Yeah, just get the generator.
Go buy it now, if you can.
Oh, the generator.
The generator, it seems to me the generator is something that's a long lead time.
Yes, that's the long lead time on the
So why can't you separate that out and go buy it separately right now? I think Delaware ought to be able to give you the spec on it, and where you can get the good number on it.
Yeah, all right.
That might be a way to speed your project.
Okay. So I'll go back to Delaware and ask what it takes to get them going on this thing. And hopefully they're further ahead than
So
zero.
you're going to be a while before Delaware's got to put that out to bid.
Right.
Yeah.
By the time he draws the specs up, you know, you're down the road a little bit. But meanwhile, at least you can have, maybe have a generator coming in.
We're on order.
On order.
Yeah, on order.
Ready to come in.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, good. I'll talk to him after that. Okay, good. All right, Scott. Anything else?
No.
Oh, now it'll be Sarah. So here's the bank balances. Let's see. Nothing really significant here. Let me show you the next chart is the fact that we've started putting money into the class, NY class. So you can see that we put in $200,000 from the tax account, some money from the water fund, and there's the $250 from the sewer fund. So the money we got for the bond went into here, as well as the money that's in the reserve for the next fire truck. And so that was just a partial month, and we made $577 in that month. All right. So that's just a start of using funds, available money that we've got in the bank that we can put into NY class and try to earn some interest on it. What I've not seen yet is what it takes to move the money back from the tax account back into the working capital when you have to actually pay some bills. I think that's going to be the test of how well this works. You can see the money for the sewer fund, that's good because we're not paying for the pump station yet. The reserve for the fire truck is going to stay there until we want to buy a new truck. That's good. And so the question is how malleable is the money that's sitting over there in that tax account? So that's a TBD. Any questions about the NY class activity? Actually, I got an email this afternoon that said they've actually bumped the expected return on the investment in this account by another 0.5%. So we can make $10,000 for the year if we do this right. That's why I'm interested. Okay, let's go into new business. So first thing is the ban renewals. Let's see if we can find the ban renewals here. Okay, so when we did the water plant upgrade a few years ago, we took out a $500,000 loan bond with the Bank of Millbrook, and we're about halfway through, about 3/4 of the way through paying off that bond. I think its final payment is either 2025 or 2026. We also had to fund the remaining finances with two bands, bond anticipation notes, one for $550,000 and one for $200,000, both with the Bank of Millbrook. What these basically say is that we intend to convert these bands to bonds within 7 years. But in the meantime, we can't afford to do it now, so we're going to roll this band over on an annual basis. Right, we have to do this every year. Okay. So there's two band renewals resolutions here. The first one is for $550,000 and the second is for $200,000. Now, Ian, why is it that the wording on, let's take this one here, this is for $550, also talks about the $200,000?
Because both of these bands are issued pursuant to your bond resolution from May 22nd of 2018.
I see. Okay.
So it's just, they're both referring to the fact that these are the outstanding bands, bond anticipation notes, that have been issued pursuant to the same bond resolution.
Okay, fine. What actually happened was we actually thought we could get just a $550,000 band to close the deal. We found out we were short $200,000. That's why I had to come back later, about a year later, to get an additional band for $200,000. Okay. Do I need to read through all the details here or not?
You could just summarize it, or I can summarize it.
Sure, can you summarize it?
It's, as the mayor said, these are two band renewal resolutions. Both are based on or refer to a bond resolution that the board adopted on May 22nd, 2018. Bands or bond anticipation notes have to originally be authorized by bond resolutions. And these are two bands that are outstanding. They need to be renewed. They're coming to maturity. The one already did, I think. And the way the board does that, renews the bans, is by ban renewal resolutions. So the first one is for $550,000. These are both going to be renewed with the Bank of Millbrook. Interest rate on both is going to be 3.65%. And these are both, the $550,000 ban renewal is for improvement and upgrade of the water system capital improvement plant in and for the village of Millbrook. It is you don't need to. So this ban renewal will mature December 17th of 2023.
So we'll do it again in 2023, right?
And so, we'll need a motion and a second to adopt the resolution, and then we'll do a roll call vote.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we accept this resolution to continue the ban for another year. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Are there any questions or discussion from the board about this?
Does interest rate change annually?
Yes. Yes, it does.
And in this case, unfortunately, significantly. Just
Right. Yeah, it was like
Nothing you
1%
can
last
do
year.
about it. Rates have gone up quite a bit.
Any
Still,
questions or comments from the audience?
Fed just raised it another half a point today.
Yeah, right. So
So
next year will be higher. So we should sign quick.
Can we
Okay.
make it more than a year if we wanted to?
No,
No.
only if you're on an annual basis. Yeah. And
Yeah.
only for 7 years, and after that you have to convert it to a bond,
correct.
you can
Bans
convert
are
to a bond
only for
earlier.
1-year terms.
if you can afford it, but no longer than 7 years. Okay, with that, I want to do a roll call. Mayor Collopy, aye. Deputy Mayor Contino,
Aye.
Trustee Herzog,
Aye.
Trustee Arbogast,
Aye.
Trustee Doro.
Aye.
Now, do I sign for Sarah here? I sign?
You can just have her sign.
Okay,
You know,
fine.
it doesn't have to be, she doesn't have to be here right now to sign it. And then the next ban renewal is for $200,000, also for improvement and upgrade of the water system capital improvement plant in and for the village of Millbrook. Again, this is also a ban that is being issued, or a ban renewal being issued out of the May 22nd, 2018 bond resolution. And same interest rate, 3.65%. It's also going to be issued by the Bank of Millbrook. And this will mature on November 9th of 2023. This ban actually matured in November. So we need a motion and a second to renew the ban for $200,000.
So I'll make a motion that we renew this ban. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call. Mayor Collopy, aye. Deputy Mayor Contino,
Aye.
Trustee Herzog,
Aye.
Trustee Arbogast,
Aye.
Trustee Doro.
Aye.
Okay,
Okay.
done, thanks.
So the resolution is adopted. I'll follow up. I had sent the documents to Sarah
All right,
as the treasurer. She's authorized to sign the ban documents.
okay, good, thanks. All right, the code update for the vehicle and traffic chapter, we just discussed that. And I told you I still need Officer Witt to respond back that he confirms all the changes that are in there are legitimate with what actually is on the streets. So it'll be the first step, and I would like to prepare next month to bring a resolution to introduce this change formally to the process. Next, Trustee Doro, any update on the Airbnb work that you're doing?
I spoke to Councilman Murphy on the town, and they formed a committee to look into this issue as well. I believe they've had a few meetings. They're now at the point where they're bringing in their town attorney to start to draft some legislation. And once it gets a little further along, he's going to bring me in to sort of see what they've done in terms of everything, fees. I know it's been a concern.
Mhm.
And then I think we can leverage what they have to, adjust for any village concerns and sort of go from there.
All right, good. Now, this will be an update to our zoning code again? Is that where that would go? Zoning?
It would be a local law,
Yeah.
I think, so I'm not sure where exactly it would go in the village
where
code.
It would be up to the board. Zoning code would probably be appropriate. Some towns, I think, may have their own chapter of the code for Airbnb, but probably zoning law chapter would be.
All right, once you consider that, what you would recommend. If it's a big enough for code, maybe it's yours its own chapter. Zoning is already like a book.
Yeah.
So sorting out might not be a good idea. But your call.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. As I said, we're gonna have our annual reorg meeting where we'll do the induction of the new trustees. And that's gonna be on the 4th of January. Everyone hope you can make it. And I'll send out some prep information to you before that, just to look at, just so you're prepared with the kind of things we'll be discussing there. And that'll be in addition to our monthly meeting, which will be the second Wednesday. All right, which will be the full agenda. All right, next, changes to the zoning law. All right, so there's a resolution you got a copy of.
Yeah, there are actually 4 resolutions in total.
Yeah, why is that?
Because these local laws are subject to seeker. Even though it's just legislative action, you still have to do environmental review. And so we do a seeker resolution containing the findings of the board.
Okay, so how do we go about doing this? What's the order?
So the order is you always have to do seeker first. And so the first local law number 2 of 2022, amending the zoning law to require signs posted on property advertising public hearing. And you did hold the public hearing on this local law at your last meeting in November 9th. The referral was made to Dutchess County Department of Planning, and they responded by saying this was a matter of local concern, essentially no comment.
That's what we wanted to hear. Yeah.
It is. So the board is free to enact the local law. Again, seeker first, and this first resolution that you have is a seeker resolution.
All right, so which document are you looking at? Are you looking at this, or are you looking at?
No, the board doesn't have to deal with this document.
Which one are you looking at?
That's for local law number 3. So there should be a similar resolution for local law number 2.
This one?
No, that's the resolution of adoption for the local law.
I'm running out of. That's a seeker.
That's for local law. You're back to local law number 3 now. It looks, I say it's not always the best, but that looks like number 3.
Is it anyone listed here? Local law number 3? Any of these two?
No, it's only local law number 3 on there.
How about this?
We have a paper here that says
Yeah.
resolution number 2022-021. Does that have anything to do with?
No, 021 is the ADA resolution we'll have at the end of the meeting. That's
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure.
So,
So
Ian,
the board should have, I don't see it on there.
you don't see it here.
I only see local law number 3. Oh,
It's not this thing
it
right
is,
here.
I'm sorry. If you, I don't know if you can go back to that.
Yes, I can.
It's not listed as local law number 2. It's, or no, yeah, I didn't see it. That's for outdoor dining.
Outdoor dining is what we're talking about.
No.
Huh?
That's local law number 3. Local law number 2 is amending
You're
the
just messing with
zoning
me
law.
now.
It's for the requiring the signs to post notice of public
Oh, okay,
hearings
so
for-
that one didn't show up in here.
Okay.
And
Well,
so that was the one where Sarah, who's out sick all week,
Yeah.
all right, I think was waiting to get the official word back.
She did get it back.
She did.
Yeah, she
All right,
sent
but
me
I
an
did not
email.
get, I did not get a copy
Okay,
of that in the
I
package.
just assumed that you knew that. She sent an email this morning.
So I have to tell you, since I didn't make a copy for the board, do I need to wait until next month to have that one?
I mean, it's up to the board. I have a hard copy. Everybody can see. I don't know if you have a hard copy in your.
No, we don't have a
materials.
hard copy, is the
Okay.
thing. I have a
Um,
soft copy.
It's up to you. I mean, at this point, waiting another month on this is probably.
Well,
not
what's the
gonna-
board think? I'd like to pass it, but I want to make sure you're comfortable not having a hard copy in front of you to see it.
Again, I have a copy that the board can look at.
Remember, we discussed it, it was pretty much straightforward, because this is the one we're gonna put a notice on the physical property of anything that's coming before the planning or zoning board to notify neighbors or whatever that this property is going in front of the board on a certain date.
And it hasn't changed at all.
It has
hasn't
not
changed.
changed. So the board adopted,
Yeah, I have no
Uh,
problem with that.
Yeah.
And we had the public hearing, we had no comments back from there.
right, the
And now,
local law
now
was
that Dutchess County's
introduced.
come back and said they're okay with it.
Yeah.
All right, so then I'd like to make a motion that we accept that.
Okay, before you do that, I would just, by
Go ahead.
motion, adopt the resolution pursuant to Seeker, New York State Environmental Quality Review Act to do 2 things. One is determine that this is an unlisted action under Seeker, that the village board will act as lead agency under Seeker, and that after determination or consideration of the factors that you're required to consider under DEC regulations for Seeker, that this action, enacting the local law number 2 of 2022, will not have any adverse environmental impact. And so we just need a motion and a second for this resolution that says that, and then.
So I'll make a motion that we accept that seeker as is. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do we need a vote, or can we just say aye?
Yeah, it's okay for everybody to
Okay,
say.
fine.
And then the next thing is, Mayor, you do have to sign,
Yeah, I saw that.
and
Right.
I'll sign the document as well.
Okay.
And
We did that at the
then
meeting.
the next thing is just the board has to adopt the resolution of adoption, enacting local law number 2 of 2022, amending chapter 230 of the village code entitled zoning to add the requirement that public hearings regarding land use applications be advertised on signs posted on the property subject to the application.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we accept that. Can I get a second?
Second.
Now we should do a roll call vote.
Yes.
All right, Mayor Collopy, aye.
Deputy Mayor Contino, aye.
Trustee Doro,
Aye.
Trustee Herzog,
Aye.
Trustee Arbogast.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
And so that is
Good, that's
enacted.
taken care of.
Local law number 2 is enacted.
All right, now we'll go to the one on the outdoor dining.
Yep, local law number 3 of 2022.
I also see a seeker resolution for that.
Yes, so that,
Okay.
again, first thing you have to do is seeker. And that first resolution for local law number 3 of 2022, which is local law amending the zoning law to establish a new section 230-75, setting forth the rules and regulations to apply to outdoor dining on village sidewalks. This resolution determines that the action, the enactment of the local law, is an unlisted action under seeker, and the village board is declaring itself to be lead agency under seeker, and that after consideration of the factors that you're required to consider in your environmental review pursuant to DEC regulations, that the board is determining that this action will not have any adverse environmental impact.
Okay,
And we just need a motion.
so I'll make a motion that we accept this resolution.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Okay, and then the next is to adopt the resolution.
All right, so now the resolution, we've got a flying new one here. I see that it lists on, everyone has a copy of this one, section E7,
Page
tables
3.
and chairs should be constructed of durable materials such as metal. No folding tables are permitted. So Buffy, comments?
Yeah, I think you should strike no folding tables are permitted. Everybody has folding tables.
Okay.
How we missed that last time, I don't know how.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they mean like folding table like a card table, but I mean, I have metal tables, but they fold
All right,
up.
so the question to the board is, can we strike out the prevention of folding tables?
It would make sense for storage purposes, having to deal with, intact tables that they have to put someplace is gonna make it a lot more difficult.
Anybody opposed to striking it? No? So I want to strike that line.
So then, the board would vote to adopt as amended, and then,
All right, so I want to make a motion that we accept this resolution with the amendment.
yep, and then a
As described, can I
second.
get a second?
Second.
All right, roll call, Mayor Collopy, aye. Deputy Mayor Contino,
Aye.
Trustee Doro,
Aye.
Trustee Herzog,
Aye.
Trustee Arbogast.
Aye.
Okay.
And then that's
Okay,
enacted.
good.
Local law number 3 is enacted. And again, we, the village did make the required referral to Dutchess County Planning. You got a response. The response was, it's a matter of local concern, no
Right.
comment from Dutchess.
Now, who is the official copy? Do you have official copy that you wrote down the vote so that I can give it to Sarah to make sure she knows to make the edits?
I can
I can do it
yeah,
right now.
I don't know that you necessarily need to call that an official copy, but you can use what I have, that's fine. I did record.
You did
the
record
vote.
it, so
Yeah.
okay, good, we'll use that. All right, thank you. Okay. Trustee Arbogast, can you give us an update on the Christmas decorations?
Sure. So the Christmas decorations went up about, I don't know, around November 19th, 18th. Had a lot of volunteers come out, which was really nice to help put them up. I want to thank Bob and his crew for going to pick up the trees and helping with that. They had a lot more work to do this year, and they had no problem doing it, so thank you to them. But no, I think the village looks good. I'd really like to talk to the board about doing something different next year, because I feel that the trees are sort of, talk to a lot of people, they're beautiful, but they have a lot of problems. They fall over, they don't stand up straight. Several people caught kids pulling out the lights during the parade of lights, so half the trees now don't have full strings of lights, so I've gone around and replaced them again for the 3rd time. So, I don't know. I'm open to suggestions. It's a lot of work. And I think it makes the village look beautiful at this time of year. I just think that maybe it's time to do something different.
Well, I guess my thought is, let's think how we want to do it, but let's do it early next year.
Yeah.
Maybe September or so, let's start talking about it.
Oh, I'm thinking way before that.
Okay, fine, because I thought it just kind of could be a rush at the end, it was like.
No, yeah. Because
Okay.
you have to plan. I mean, it was hard to get lights this year. I mean, just to, make sure that the trees had enough. So, I don't know. I'm open to some ideas
All right,
to
fine.
figure out something else to do, because the Christmas trees are beautiful, but it's a lot of work. And anything, decorate 85 trees is a lot of work. So,
Uh,
it's a lot of trees. So
The one question I have is, when is the takedown gonna be?
the takedown is going to be, I believe we set the weekend after the first weekend, so I think it's like the 13th,
13th?
something around there. I'll double check that for you.
Right, yeah, can you send us an official, what?
Yeah,
what's-
and I
what's
have
our
all
plan on
the
that?
same people who set up the trees, said they would come back and take down the lights off of the trees that they put up, and
Okay.
so I have a whole crew of people coming through and doing that as well. And then we'll take them to the tribute gardens and we'll go through them to see which lights need to be discarded and what we have to start with next year, and see if we can't come up with a solution of decorating, with what we have, or
Yeah.
doing something different.
All right, good. And how much money did you spend? No?
On the Christmas trees?
Yeah.
The Christmas trees were,
What, and the lights and all the other stuff that you have?
yeah, so I don't have the total. Amy hasn't given me that yet from the MBA, but the Christmas trees were $35 each. So that was approximately $2,975, and I would say all in probably $3,500 for Christmas decorations.
And Buffy, the contribution that we made from that special fund, is the fund now exhausted?
No.
No, so we had spent, this was the trust fund that we liquidated, and they'd spent $1,600 last year. They had $800 left available for this year.
Yeah. So no, there's still money in there. We didn't use all of that. We needed, after this month, I think Nicole could tell us what's left in there.
But it's a few $100s.
Yeah, it's a few $100s.
All right, fine. We can save it till next year. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Any questions about the cleanup, or the Christmas trees? No comments? All right, my wife is also homesick. She sent this report on the Parade of Lights. We had a lot of stuff going on beyond the parade. There was the meet and greet with Santa that Angels of Light, Lori Decker, handled. She had over 150 people attend. It sounded like it was well received over at her building nearby by Morona's. And then Millbrook High School Brass Ensemble performed. The second graders sang under the Christmas tree before the lighting. Chris Hawks and his dog Tyson brought Santa to the tree. The parade started right on time, around 6 o'clock. The VFW had a North Pole color guard. They kicked off the parade. Q92 was announced there, along with John McDonald from Central Press. We had volunteers from the Millbrook High School to help both at the Angels of Light as well as give out candy during the parade. There were over 40 floats pre-registered, and none of those threw candy, but we'd asked that if they had candy to throw out, we would pass it out as opposed to throw it from the float to make sure it got to the curb as opposed to land up in the street. So we didn't have kids running out in the middle. That still happened. The 40 floats that were pre-registered were about half of the total. We had like 80 floats total this year. So that went across very well, I thought. There were no political floats, which was an issue in some other aviation towns. We were lucky there, but you got to do what you can. And we had more police support. We had very good support from the state police this year. They were at both ends of Franklin. Last year we couldn't get them. And so that allowed our police, the 4 we had on duty, to be in the middle of the parade, which was a big help. So traffic was not a problem. I thought that went very well. And we just had a lot of support from a lot of volunteers. So it went off well. We had some issues, but we had some complaints about the no candy policy, but in general, it looked like it went off pretty well. All right. Any questions or comments about that?
I thought it was a great parade. Lucille did a wonderful job.
Some of those floats which were phenomenal.
Yeah, she did a really great job, and it was really great. So.
All right, good. All right, so public comments. Anything from the public?
Yeah, through with most of your visit.
I'm sorry?
You through with most of the, I don't want to.
Time
Time for public comment?
What we do is we'll have board member updates after this. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I just, it might be an oversight or what.
Can you come up towards the table just so we
Sure.
can, I don't know if we're recording or not, but the chance of recording.
The resolution that we discussed at the last meeting, the changing of it, the including of Delaware's memo in the resolution, you recall. You've done it. You put the resolution in, but not quite all the way in.
Yeah, does it include the final version of Bill Bright's memo?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, okay.
On your face sheet, you say, you refer to connection fees as defined in the Bill Bright Delaware memo. Well, there's two Bill Bright memos. One on 7/19/22, which deals with connection fees. And the other memo, the longer one, on 10/28/22, which has to deal with the Maple Hill subdivision. It's not mentioned on here, so there's no link to it.
Yeah, I think we're not complete with that yet because Sarah hasn't gotten the
You're just
official.
gonna add a little sentence in there.
Yeah, I think we
tie
need to
it
still
in,
work
that's all.
that because Sarah's out, and I think Peter, you had some questions about that as well.
You gotta
So
try-
give me another month to get that
Yeah,
resolved.
just tie it in
Yeah.
on the front sheet and you.
So we had a problem where Bill didn't send the official memo.
No, you got the.
No, I say it took me a while to do that.
Took you to get.
And by the time he got, Sarah was sick, and so we didn't get it all together. So give me a month to button that up, okay?
Yeah, he did a good job with it.
Yeah, okay.
And, yeah, just tie it in on the front sheet.
Yeah, we'll make sure we get it buttoned up before we're done. All right. By the way, that reminds me, Scott, we did a request from a person who lives out by the Dutchess County Government Center to hook into the sewer line. And it was actually a real estate agent. Wanted to know if that lot was eligible. And what you said is have them apply because you're not sure.
Right, well, the issue out there is there's people that are connected, but it goes to the pump station that's owned by the county, not the village.
Oh.
So, now, there's a line there that runs,
The village has the right to use the pump station. That was written in when they built that whole.
But are you saying you don't know who's hooked in there?
I know who's hooked in there.
Well, you do.
There's 2 or 3 down there.
Okay.
Four.
But as far as the sewer line that's there, I'd have to find it, and there's no record of whether that's the village's line, if there's easements. This is,
All right, so what you said
The only
is,
thing is the villages is that 90 feet coming across,
yeah,
I believe. You don't own the main up and back around the Glen.
not that I'm
Village
aware
is
of,
not
because
all
there's no
private.
all right, but what Scott said to me is let them come forward and make an application,
can-
then we'll go find out for sure.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
they're
Right.
susceptible
Because-
to
All right.
if it's,
fees and whatever.
Right.
there's like Skip was saying, the Galente's line, if that's the only way they tie in, that's something they're gonna have to, if you were to allow it, they'd have to deal with that legally between the parties.
It's with the original. Well, you see it. You know it as well as I do. On the original maps, the county maps, pump station is here, and we brought that 8-inch line across.
Nice.
Everybody
Yeah.
said, "Yeah, I thought there was a manhole there."
Yeah.
And
We gotta
we don't
find
know.
it.
We got to find it. But on the map that was originally drawn, they were going to just cap it. But I think I got what's his name, Rogan, the engineer back then, to put it. I thought I had gotten him to put a manhole there. And all those guys, that's where they're hooking. I think they'd be coming into something, not just a pipe.
So my point to the board is that last month, we had this discussion, I said, well, if all those hookups we were talking about are already hooked in, there's no need for that resolution that we had, for the special fees. Well, now maybe there is. Okay, so let's just find out, maybe we should just put that resolution on.
Yeah, this is totally separate from
So that's totally separate from the.
two different things.
From that?
From what Skip was.
No, I know, it's totally separate, right, I
Yeah,
understand it,
yeah.
yes, right,
Yeah.
okay.
Even before that, I don't think Scott should be wasting time and money and resources based on some real estate agent.
Right,
Well,
that's
it's
right.
not-
Yeah, that's
we
the
don't know who the owner
Well, that's why
was.
it's a good call to say, make the application and we'll decide then.
That's a pie.
Yeah, and you can just say, you know what, there's too many things we gotta figure out.
Yeah, sure.
You could just say no.
Okay,
I mean, cause it may take a while to figure it all out.
figure it all out.
know.
Let them hire
They
an
probably
engineer
wanna
and
know
figure
if
it
they're gonna
out.
buy the
Yeah.
lot.
What's
Well,
somebody trying to
the
buy?
guy selling a lot was trying to
Buy a
let us know if
piece
it's
of
an area he can
Yeah,
advertise this.
I had a lot
He's
number.
trying to sell.
Yeah,
Same
I don't
kind of
think
thing.
we should be making.
Yeah.
He can hire an engineer to figure that out.
Okay.
They would have, if they're below Galante's line, they'd have to pump.
Yeah, I think this one is actually up.
Above them.
I have to look again.
So then, Scott, are you saying I just tell this guy no?
I mean, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but if it were me, yeah.
Okay, fine.
I just think it's probably too much of a hassle.
Too much of a hassle, you're fooling around with a lot of private lines.
All right,
Yeah.
fine.
We're not talking about a sewer line that runs down.
There's not a
Halcyon
line,
Road.
it's not
Yeah, okay.
a
Right.
main in front of where they.
I see, okay,
It's up
fine.
on
It's a totally
people's
different animal.
property.
All right, fine.
You could run into a
Then I'll
whole
do
bunch
that.
of different issues.
That's fine.
It
Okay.
would be the easiest thing, just to say, you know what?
Right.
All right, fine. And by the way, Nancy, Lisa, I mean, last month, you sent me the email. I forwarded to Bill Bright. I haven't heard back from Bill Bright on. I asked him to give his position on it, akin to what he did with skip slots.
I mean, it's his letter's pretty much already,
Oh, does it already cover it? I didn't see it. I wanted Bill to give me a specific response to
Yeah.
that email.
I
And I'm
mean, it
waiting to get that.
refers to Maple Hill, but also
Okay.
the other properties that have laterals
Yeah,
on their private property.
In his, one of his paragraphs there,
Does he cover it?
yeah, I got it right here. It's just, it's only a couple of seconds.
Because I forwarded the email that you sent me, and I asked specifically, is this part of the same thing? I haven't gotten word back.
After reviewing all the information, this is part of the memo.
Yeah.
Reviewing all the information provided, the approval correspondence, as well as our discussions with the property owner, Mr. Safari. The cost to purchase water and sewer capacity does not apply to the Maple Hill subdivision or any other property connected to the Scrappy sewer man when it was installed and inspected and approved by the village. All Maple Hill subdivision properties and other properties that have sewer laterals already installed into individual lots, which she has, were inspected by the village engineer, and the connections were certified by the Dutchess County Health Department, are already connected to the village Millbrook collection system. Each Maple Hill lot also has a man that goes into the water, but that covers the sewer part, which she doesn't have.
All right, fine. I just want to hear from Bill that
Yeah,
confirming
he's
that.
got it
That
in
is
there.
our
But he didn't specifically say that property.
Well, I wanted to say that.
Yeah, and I
Make it
guess that's
official.
what she's looking for.
Yeah, okay. So I'll follow up with Bill on that.
But,
Yeah, that'd be great, because,
Yeah.
I am trying to get the site plan and things underway, and
No problem.
it's, it was
Okay.
like May when I originally put the application in, so yeah.
All right, any other public comments?
no, just
All right, good.
there, and that's fine.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, let's move on. So, two things I've got. One is for the board to know that the water tower, there was a fence installed around the equipment around the back. Unfortunately, they've been talking to me for months, I'm going to say back to February of this year, that they're going to replace all the fence, which included the fencing that is on the border of the water tower property, and the neighbor's name is Darlene. Okay. And so what they did last week was they did a real nice job of replacing the fence around the equipment in the back. They didn't touch her fence at all. So I got calls into them. I want to know what we can do. They're claiming that that's not part of their responsibility. I'm trying to get it escalated. In the meantime, I've told Bob Collocola to go get me 3 estimates from 3 companies to do 96 feet of fence, which will replace what she's got along there. Because it looks terrible and we got to replace it. Okay. So if I get stiffed by the subcontractor that's working for T-Mobile, then I want to go do it with funds that are in the consolidated trust fund account. And it's going to be in terms of $5,000 to $10,000. That's roughly what's going to be. What does the board think about that?
T-Mobile can handle this.
I wanted to know too. Well, it's not T-Mobile, it's Errol Smith who's working for T-Mobile. But yeah.
I think originally and this goes back, gotta be in the 90s, when they did all that around the water tower, part of the reason they did the fencing was specifically as a sound barrier because the generator was incredibly loud, and when they installed it, that was one of the first things that neighbors,
Was that right?
And
Okay.
said, the noise, and so I think that's fence, and I can't swear to it. was installed specifically as a sound barrier because it's
Oh.
right next to the generator. It's not for aesthetics. There was a purpose for it. And if they installed the fence, I've told Bill Bright this more than a year ago. If they install the fence, then it's their responsibility to maintain it. Now, I don't want to spend more money in a court of law trying to make them do it than the actual replacement of the fence. But Darlene Walsh has been looking at this piece of garbage
Yeah, I agree.
for more than
It's
10
terrible.
years, and it's not fair. And that technically that lot is our property.
Mhm.
So one way or the other, we have to deal with this and deal with it relatively soon.
So what I'm dealing with is, the fence was installed by whoever, at the time it was Sprint, now it's T-Mobile, and now it's Aerosmith, who's a subcontractor who takes care of T-Mobile's work. So that's what I'm dealing with.
Right, it's not a straight line.
No, but, you know, for months, I've been sending pictures of all three of the fence problems, of which they took care of. Two of them fine, but one, the main problem I had was the one they didn't take care of. So that's what I'm still trying to work on. All right?
I'd like to have, I don't know if we're gonna be doing much fence replacement in the middle of February anyway, but that's something that has to be taken care of and can't be put on the back burner on old business for months and months and months.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't seem to have any problem replacing the other fence just
Yeah.
the other day, so.
If the posts are, yeah,
Whether,
yeah,
nature,
if they
whether
can,
it's.
if the ground's still not frozen enough to be able to sink new foundation, posts.
Post in, yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that.
That they've gotta be able to do that, so if they say, fine, we'll do it, and they can actually show up in the next 2 to 3 weeks, great. If not, then they're not, unless they're gonna get some kind of a rotary device, they're gonna have to do frozen ground to put in these pipes. They can't do this in February and March.
Yeah, okay.
The ground will be frozen.
All right, let me work on tomorrow some more with the guys who were supposed to do it in the first place, and I'll let you know. Just very frustrating.
Now,
Yes,
are you certain it's T-Mobile, not Verizon? Is it Verizon on the tower as well?
they're on the tower, but they weren't part of they came afterwards. That's my understanding.
Whoever put in the generator originally in order as a backup, that's when we put on the fence. So,
Oh, the generator.
I believe
I think
the
Verizon.
generator is the Verizon.
I think you're right.
To my knowledge, now
Oh.
I've only been here 20 years, but I believe Verizon was on the tower before Sprint, Nextel, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, you'd have to check records on that, but I'm not positive.
I think the original
My
contract I got.
understanding was the generator, which has been there as long as I've been here, in the back, the big building. I always thought that was Verizon.
I think I've got the original. I do have the original contract. It's from Sprint, and Verizon came afterwards. But now that you mention it, I think Verizon has been the name associated with the generator.
I don't know if by selling the rights, they've sold the responsibilities. I'm not a lawyer, but, you know, so whoever owns that site
Right.
should be responsible for the fence. And,
All right.
Especially if they put it up.
Especially if they put it up, and if it transferred from Sprint to Verizon and all the way down the line, then, you know, the person who bought that contract from them is responsible for the fence, in my mind. But I don't wanna have Darlene holding the bag for the next 6 months while we argue about this.
Mhm. Let me go work on some more and see if I can't get some resolution, because for months I've been talking about, I've been talking to a blank wall about the importance of that barrier being placed.
Is there any way the village can do it and have somebody do it and charge them?
We try that. That's that's a path towards we could end up paying for it.
Say it again?
We could end up doing that, but end up not getting
Not be
reimbursed.
able to collect from them.
Yeah, hard collect, right. Yeah, we'll see. All right, the last thing I got is there's a resolution for us to conform to ADA requirements as a village. And I have this motion here, which is given to us by the county as a recommended template of a resolution. And let me just read the top part. A resolution adopting the Americans with Disabilities Act requirement is outlined by the United States Department of Justice, a guide for small local governments, including towns, townships, and rural counties. This just says that we'll conform to the items that are in that. And so I'd like to make that motion that we introduce and sign this resolution. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I guess I should do the voting. You can see the details of it. Basically says we'll conform to the ADA's non-discriminatory requirements as a village. Any problems with going with this?
Is there any potential costs,
No.
expenses for us down the road to
No.
comply, or?
Compliance is not, there's no additional requirements to do beyond what we're doing today. Yeah. So this is just simply a template to have ourselves adhering to the ADA requirements. So with that, I'd like to vote Mayor Collopy, aye. Deputy Mayor Contino,
Aye.
Trustee Herzog,
Aye.
Trustee Arbogast,
Aye.
Trustee Doro.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, that's all I got. Deputy Mayor Contino.
Just have one thing. We heard from the manufacturer of the electric vehicle chargers that were installing on town property today, and they've made application to Central Hudson on our behalf. So that's good. The town has done everything it has to do to authorize using the site. They also yesterday apparently sent the request for the permits down to us, so I just found out about this afternoon. I'll check with Ken
Okay.
if you received anything. And they said that once the funding is fully approved by the electric company, Central Hudson, they'll be reaching out to us to give us a schedule for installation.
So explain where it's going to be installed. Does everyone knows where it's going to be installed?
I think we've talked about
You
it.
do? Okay.
Is everybody clear on the town hall site on the left side of the parking?
Left side.
Left side of the driveway, yeah.
Driveway, actually.
Which driveway?
The left
The
driveway.
left driveway.
Yes,
It's on the east side.
Yeah, east side.
east, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
The one toward the school.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I think that's all positive.
All right, good. All right. Trustee Herzog.
Okay. I got a few things. In Climate Smart Communities news, the greenhouse gases inventory report has been completed. Genevieve Klassen and I completed the assessment review of the 115 in the CSC pledge category, reviewing those. After noting the pledge elements we feel the village may have already completed, we are due to receive, we are eligible to receive, once we do the documentation, more than half what we need to get to bronze certification. In 2023, we'll be busy making a plan for the village board on how our CSC task force can meet and move forward from there. Next, on the 28th of November, I met with Jillian Matthews at Cornell Cooperative Extension in Kingston to give her materials related to a resiliency report which she is preparing for us for the village of Millbrook on a grant that we were given last year, and will be taken care of by this March. On the 29th, I attended a Zoom meeting hosted by New York State Senator Jen Mesker, who outlined possible impacts for local municipalities with recently passed legislation at the state and the federal level. I have 4 pages of notes if any of the trustees want any specifics on that are very detailed. On December 2nd, the village submitted a CDBG application for 2023 to the Dutchess County Planning Department. This grant request would allow the village to complete phase 2 of our sidewalk replacement program, basically going from Church Street up to Friendly Lane on that side of the street.
On the south side.
On the south side.
Yeah.
So we'll be hearing about that, and the mayor and I getting together next week to continue to work on that, as well as to have phase 1 move forward, because we're in the process now of working with Renia Engineering in order to start working on the bidding process and other things submitted to the Department of Transportation. And then finally, I attended a CAC meeting on December 7th to review applications for the Town of Washington Planning Board. I heard a presentation from a noted environmental specialist on how the town and the village could approach a natural resources inventory if we're awarded a grant to proceed next year. That application was already in, and we're just waiting to hear sometime in December from the Mid-Hudson Regional Council whether we're going to get that grant, and if we do, then we'll be proceeding on going through that NRI review with the town of Washington and the town of Clinton.
Okay, good.
And that's pretty much it.
All right. Any questions or comments? Trustee Arbogast?
No, I don't have anything. We went over the traffic code, and I'll leave that to Vicky. And January 7th and 8th is the takedown for the Christmas trees.
7th and 8th,
Yeah.
oh,
7th and 8th.
that's early.
That's the first weekend. Well, it's right
It's
after
the first weekend, and it's right
the
after.
Epiphany, so.
There you go.
All right,
Yes, that ends on the 6th or the 7th.
okay. Hope it's cold and snowy. Okay, Trustee Doro.
Usually
Nothing
it's
for me.
one of the coldest
Anything
days.
The parade of lights was great, I thought. Really job well done all around. And I just want to thank Trustee Arbogast's contributions to the board in the past year, and that should be missed.
Okay, as I said, the reorg meeting will be on Wednesday the 4th, 6 p.m. No other issues here. I'll make a motion, we adjourn the meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Have a good evening.
Yeah.